Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today. If this is your first time here, my name is Lisa Tebrick, and I am so pleased to have you clicking on this video today. Just a reminder to my subscribers out there, you will definitely be seeing my animals in the background, or possibly even be making some commentary on the things I am doing. So it is what it is. Today is Wicked Wednesday. Oh, so this is your first time here. I upload 2 times a week, Wednesdays and Fridays, and it is Wicked Wednesday or Freedom Friday. I'm going to do something really different on this Wicked Wednesday. I'm going to start a new series, which I'm really excited about. It's called Coffee and Cards. Let's discuss. So what I am going to do with this series is I am going to discuss with you all a event or a person or a conspiracy, even something in a spooky line, and then I'm going to read my tarot cards and see if I can get some insight or answers on some of life's strange little mysteries. I'm going to start off today with one of my favorite conspiracy theories, and it's not even really a conspiracy theory, it's a very sad tragedy, and that is about Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart is someone that was really important to me growing up. She had such poise and grace and did so much for women and women's rights and making little girls' dreams come true all over the world. I actually was told about her over and over again by my grandfather, Vernon Stowell, and he loved to tell me stories about mysteries and conspiracies, and that just stayed with me my entire life. So I hope that I can share some of that love with you guys, because it's just, there's nothing better than storytelling, and there's nothing better from learning from an elder. So it was just a wonderful time that I had with him, and it was grandpa talking to me like I was an adult when I was a little kid, and it was really cool. So I hope you enjoy this series. We're gonna have a lot of fun on it, and I hope you like it. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about it. Um, I also want to let you know that I have been reading tarot for several years. I learned from many different people, but everybody has their own style. So I got to put this little disclaimer in here. Since this is the first one of this series, I learn tarot completely different, as you learn tarot is completely different than anybody else. You find what works for you and what resonates with you. While one deck may resonate with you, it may not for another person. While one person reads it and gets this story, you might read it and get a completely different story. Um, all of it is valid, all of it is right, and you do what is best for you. Um, I really do hope you enjoy this. I wanted to tell you that I am using, this is the book, but the Golden Tarot, which I'm assuming is going to be backwards to you, but this is the current deck that I'm using. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Amelia's life and then go from there. Amelia Mary Earhart was born in 1897. I'm so sorry, 1897 in Kansas. She moved around a lot in her life. She started off her life in Kansas, moved to different places like Iowa, Missouri. I think she ended up in Minnesota and Boston at some point. It was a lot to do with her parents, her father's job, so they moved around a lot. Her dad also was a struggling alcoholic, so he was not able to maintain a job for very long. One of the cool connections that I have with Amelia Earhart is she lived in Iowa like I did, and she went to the Iowa State Fair like I did. This is where Amelia saw her very first airplane right in front of her that she said basically looked like a pile of wires and crap. But she saw this at the Iowa State Fair, which I spent a lot of time at the Iowa State Fair growing up. So it's kind of cool to have that little connection. Also, just a little side note, my dog, my beautiful little dog, is her name is Sunny, but her full name is Sunshine Amelia Pond. Of course, she's named after Amelia Pond from Doctor Who, but she's also named after Amelia Earhart because I just have this affinity for her. I also am crossing my fingers that somehow 13 will meet Amelia Earhart in an adventure. I would just love that. Um, as we know, Amelia Earhart was a pioneer for women in avionics, but she was also an incredible person. She led a amazing life for the short 37 years that she was on this earth. She was a nurse, she was a teacher, she wrote for newspapers, she was a columnist. She did different types of uh, scientific instrumental experiments with aviation technology, stuff that I really don't understand about, but obviously she's a lot smarter. Um, she did so much. She was a best-selling author. She was standing up for women's rights to vote and equal pay back in the 30s, the 20s even. I mean, how amazing is that we take women, actually everybody takes for granted the types of freedoms that we have today. And if it wasn't for people like Amelia Earhart, we never would be where we are today. So we all owe a bit of debt to her. Um, Amelia was married. She was married to, I forgot his name. I am so sorry. I wrote it down. George Putton. And of course, Amelia Earhart, her biggest thing that she was known for outside of her disappearance was she was the first female ever to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Very big deal. Very big deal. And back in this time period, pilots were like celebrities. So, you know, she was an amazing celebrity. So was Charles Lindbergh, who was also an aviation pilot. So, very, very big stories were around these people, even like tabloids and gossip. Um, Again, she only lived 37 years, but she packed a lot of life into this 37 years. What most people don't know is in 1918, when she lived in, I think, I want to say it was Minnesota at this time. I could be wrong. She became a nurse to help during the Spanish flu pandemic, which is very familiar to what is going on today. I don't even know if I can actually say those words without getting from YouTube, but she was a nurse and she helped all of these people and eventually became a patient herself. She suffered from pneumonia and several different things, including chronic sinusitis, which I also have, which can be extremely dangerous. And without the proper medication, it can actually eat a way through to your brain. I know that's an extreme case, but Amelia had a lifelong problem with having chronic pneumonia and chronic sinus problems. She actually had a drainage system put in through her nose, her left nostril, that was covered up by a bandage that most people didn't see. She didn't wear it out in public, but when she was at home or she was at work or she was even flying, it was something that she had to wear because unfortunately she had a lot of physical issues from getting sick in 1918. This, like I said, it affected her the rest of her life, and some people think that it even could have affected her cognitive abilities, but that has never been proven. Um, So Amelia, of course, was a pilot, and she wanted to be the first female to ever fly solo around the world. Now, what you must understand is flying solo is not by yourself. You have to have somebody else with you. And she had a partner with her, and I know his name. Hold on, hold on. I'm sorry. Fred Newman. Fred Newman was her partner. He made the flights with her and helped her out and even took the helm at some points. Many controversies to this, but we only know so much. But this is a very controversial subject because people say that it was actually Newman who was doing the piloting while Amelia was taking credit for it. Uh, this whole entire case had a lot of conspiracies before the disappearance of Amelia and Frank Newman ever happened. Is it Frank or is it Fred? I'm so sorry. It's Fred. It's Fred Newman. Um, what I did find interesting too is um, it didn't seem like her marriage was a loving relationship. It was not even necessarily a love match. People believed in the gossip columns that Amelia actually didn't like her husband at all, and both of them were having active affairs while married. That has never been proven, but that was definitely the impression that was being given off by Amelia and her husband. Um, Also, people speculated that Amelia and Fred Newman were having a relationship themselves. Um, again, we just don't know. It's all speculation. But just to kind of give you an idea of how much Amelia wanted to become a pilot and why I don't think this was a cover up to get a female's name out there in order to be the first woman to fly around the world, but it was actually a male. Um, she had to pay $1,000 in 1923 to get any sort of lessons, and she had to walk there and back 4 miles every day, every single day that she took lessons. So the cost of this lesson, the whole series, was $1,000. So compared to the rate of money, which would be today, that was over $13,000 if she would have done that today. This is something that both her parents split, and even though her mother was against it and she had a bad feeling about it, she still did it anyway. So Amelia was so determined to become a pilot that she spent an extraordinary amount of money to get these lessons and did a lot of physical work herself and a lot of determination, a lot of learning herself in order to become a pilot. So I don't think any of those rumors about Amelia faking the flights to get credit for it is true. However, there are many, many conspiracies that happened. Unfortunately, Amelia disappeared. Her and Fred both disappeared um, on July 2nd, 1937. She was at this time 37 years old. She was not declared dead until 1941. So that's a long time to be looking. And this was huge, huge search. She was leaving from Howland Island to go to Papua New Guinea. And that should have been a relatively short flight, but something happened and no one knows, and they disappeared. Of course, the most logical explanation is that Amelia ran out of fuel, or there was a problem with the engine or the gauges. They got confused and they ended up crashing into the ocean. However, they were sending out signals both via voice and Morse code through the radio system to try to get help. Amelia just started repeating her coordinates for several minutes before it died, and nobody ever heard from her again. However, people around these areas who lived in islands around this area did claim that they heard the radio transmissions while they were listening to their own personal radios. And at points, they said that they heard a hysterical woman and a very scared man. So we don't know what happened. But of course, the most logical answer probably is the correct one. But one of the things that keeps coming up is, was she captured? Was Amelia actually a spy? Was she doing something illegal? Was she carrying something on that plane that could have gotten her and everybody else involved in this project, because it was a very big and expensive project, killed? We don't know. Was this something that was just an accident, or was there something devious going on? Surprisingly enough, I found out some kind of creepy answers. I did take notes. I already pulled my cards because I don't have another camera yet where I can focus on top and bottom. I will show you my cards and let you know what they are and then the story I get. The very first card I drew was the devil. The second card I drew was the Knight of Swords. It was reversed, but he used the Knight of Swords. And then the third one was the Nine of Wands, which was reversed. So obviously, seeing the devil card right away can make someone a little afraid or freaking out, but what it told me was this was a very serious matter. What I got from this, and again, once I have equipment and things, I will do this a little differently. Bear with me. I'm a new channel. I ask really if this was, something bad happened. Was a spy? What was going on? And what I got out of the cards was an affair. The devil is something that can be considered a affair. Many people thought that her and Fred were having an affair. However, she also was rumored to have an affair with many, many people. But what I'm more concerned about is the man and woman who are chained to this tree with a devil in the middle, meaning that there was something going on that these people believed in, and they were not willing to let it go, and were willing to go to many lengths to get to their goal, no matter how bad it was. They were misdirected, misguided, and somebody took advantage of their want. And this is a want, a passion that was probably something like the flight that was rushed into, and not everything was right or safe, but somebody swooped in and said they were going to make this happen, even if everything doesn't add up. And these two people, which I believe represent Amelia and Fred, were ready to go into this and chain themselves to this belief of, this is what we have to do. This is our goal. We are going to do whatever we can to get to this goal, even if it is through devious means or through means that are not smart. It just wasn't good. And they were so enamored with this goal that they were literally slaves to it. And they were willing to do anything to make this happen. The next card was, like I said, I'll show you upright, the Knight of Swords. This is a battle. This represents a short-term solution to a long-term problem. So I think there was something that happened. Money was running out, or things were not working out with safety measures, electronics, things like that. This was a very huge goal that they had. However, they were using something very short term, like putting duct tape over a leak and hoping that nobody is going to notice while, like, just for example, you put duct tape over a part of a window seal and it is leaking. There might be water that is caught up in it. However, it's rotting and molding around it. There's still a huge problem, but you're putting a band-aid on it and not really looking into it. This card also, the first thing I saw when I saw this guy was chasing windmills. If you guys are not familiar with Pancho Villa or Don Quixote, definitely read it, but chasing windmills comes from that book, which means Don Quixote was kind of off his rocker a little bit, and he was chasing a something that he cooked up in his mind that was much bigger, and it was actually fake. It was not real. It was an imagined thing. It was a hallucination. So this to me says that they did dealings to patch up and go forward with this project, but it wasn't smart. It was a very shortcut to be able to get to this long-term goal. I am running out of time already. The Nine of Wands is just simply poor choices. Very, very poor choices were made out of this. And as you can see, the Nine of Wands here, it was just very poor choices. Very, very poor choices that they made, knowing full well that it could go very bad. But they decided to go ahead anyway because there was a tiny little percentage of a chance of it to go well, and that's all they saw. That's all they wanted to see. And it wasn't just these two. There were corporations, there were other people involved in putting money into this project. So even at some point, if they wanted to bail, they couldn't. Which means maybe this whole thing was a kill them and cut their losses, because people are worth more dead than alive, especially a legend. I went ahead and did 3 more cards. I drew the Emperor. It was reversed. I drew the Queen of Wands, which was also reversed, and the Two of Cups upright. So what this meant to me, the Emperor is a very dominant figure. He is very strong, but he's also extremely controlling. It's his way or the highway. Very, very controlling. His perspective is skewed, but he also, even though he is very controlling, he's actually a victim in this circumstance. Even though he agreed to things willingly, he is still a victim of this circumstance. The Queen of Wands, obviously, to me, represents Amelia. Amelia was known as the nickname of Queen by many of her fellow people, including Charles Lindbergh. They called her the Queen. This particular one actually had a very interesting wording in the book because I wanted to look it up. It said that she let down people in her orbit. What an interesting phrase to use for someone who is known for aviation, that she let everyone down in her orbit, meaning that maybe she wasn't as capable of doing this project as she once thought, or it just plain wasn't possible at this point of time. And even if she wanted to bail, she would be letting everybody down. She felt the weight of that. She felt tremendous pressure, tremendous pressure. And I get this from all of these cards so far, that this tremendous, tremendous pressure was too much for her to make a logical decision. So she made a decision based off of fear and pressure, not what actually needed to happen. She was carrying a lot of weight on her shoulders from a lot of different directions, and she felt every bit of it. The last card is the Two of Cups, which was a promise of a new relationship, but it went horribly wrong. They actually end up in the water. Two cups end up in the water. So my feeling with Amelia Earhart is this whole flight, this whole project never should have taken place. And while the deal looked shiny and their goal was to definitely have her be the first female who fly around the world, it was not the time to do it because of either money or because of circumstances beyond their control. It was a terrible mistake. She could have prevented it, but by the time she wanted out, it was too late. I don't know if she was taken out or if it was just simply an accident, but this decision to do this flight never should have happened in the first place. So that's the reading I got on Amelia Earhart. If you would like a follow-up video to this, let me know. If there is a case that you would like to hear about, also let me know in the comments. Of course, I hope you like and subscribe, share and comment on this video. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. I will leave you a link in the description about Java Mama Coffee. I will also leave you a link in the description about my new website that will be connected to my YouTube channel, and I am starting to do readings now. So you can get a private reading with me. Again, thank you so much for being here today. Every single day that you wake up is a gift. Use your time wisely. All right, everybody, you have a great night or day wherever you are. Stay safe, and I'll see you later. Bye.